a new socio-ecological context for wicked systemic challenges, including disruptive emerging issues and increased speeds of change, is overwhelming traditional approaches. Let me highlight just three. First, the challenge is to transform the economic growth model to one that prioritizes an inclusive, sustainable, a transition to an inclusive and sustainable circular economy, one that is driven by clean energy and a robust, productive domestic private sector. Secondly, accelerating Industry 4.0 offers both opportunities and risks in the future stream of jobs as Vietnam embarks on new growth pathways. Automation and AI threaten to displace jobs in several sectors that have been driving Vietnam's growth. An ILO 2016 report estimates that the future of jobs at risk at automation suggests that 70% of jobs in Vietnam are at risk of automation, especially simple and repetitive jobs in agriculture, garment, and electronic sectors. Thirdly, Vietnam is considered in coming decades to be among one of the most affected countries by global climate change. The IPCC Special Report on Global Warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade declares in the starkest possible terms that we have 12 years to fix our addiction to fossil fuels and drastically reduce total carbon emissions. And systemic risks include impacts of climate change on the nutritional value of food, the impacts of rising CO2 levels on our memory, concentration, and decision-making abilities, the impacts of air pollution on cognitive ability, as well as emerging evidence of pollution impacts on obesity and mental health. Clearly, it is evident that this transition requires us to recognize our challenges are interdependent and to develop capacity to navigate complexity. UNDP has recognized this need and established 60 accelerator labs around the world to address complex development challenges through portfolios of experiments that test new ideas for systemic change with fast feedback loops. Similarly, around the world, government institutions are developing a new set of capabilities, which we refer to as 3As: anticipatory, adaptive, and agile. Anticipatory in that we need to be able to quickly and effectively identify trends that are emerging and are on the horizon. Adapt, in order we need to be able to test these ideas with innovation and experimentation to respond to these trends. And agile, we need to be able to respond quickly, effectively, and with results. So anticipatory adaptable governance is central to creating an ecosystem for understanding actions that grapple with complexity, interdependence between policy objectives and risks, and cross-silo working. Anticipatory governance also aims to empower people to change systems through exploration, experimentation, and demonstration that together enable viable alternatives at scale. This will involve engaging all people and institutions in a process of active listening, active learning, and generating innovations as two sides of the same coin. When leveraged together, they are one of the most effective means to catalyze transformation. To do this, a number of capabilities are required. First, the ability to identify the landscape of change through foresight and use this in organizationally useful ways. Secondly, systemic thinking and inter-organizational cooperation are also needed so that the whole ecosystems are mobilized to address wicked and complex interdependencies in the development challenges we face. Thirdly, capabilities are needed that enable cultural and structural shifts and institutional innovation that supports experimentation and which uses it to drive learning and impact at scale. These will be essential for Vietnam to achieve its human development aspirations and its commitments for realizing the Sustainable Development Goals, and at its heart, ensuring that no one is left behind. UNDP Vietnam, UNDP Vietnam. During these 2 days, we will be taking a deep dive here in Vietnam on anticipatory governance, exploring both its theoretical underpinnings and, most importantly, its practical applications. We will be hearing experiences from Seoul and Singapore, where anticipatory governance has been applied in practice in positioning both governments to navigate emerging strategic challenges and harness potential opportunities. With these few remarks, I would again like to offer my deepest appreciation to the Theoretical Council for partnering with us on this important occasion. And here in Vietnam, UNDP, we hope to see this as one step in the journey and would like to invite you all to be part of an inter-organizational network for the prototyping and development of an anticipatory group here to be modeled in Vietnam. And with that, I thank you. I wish you a very productive 2 days workshop and very active participation of everyone, from government, from our partners, from the Development Partners Group, from UN colleagues. And we look forward to this really helping set the pace and the parameters for deepening our work on anticipatory governance and having Vietnam model this in a way that others can learn from in the region. Thank you very much. Xin cảm ơn.